Amazing, amazing. Man of few words. So Moses, Moise, you took the driver's seat this morning. Yeah. Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to If You Ask Jimmy. Today we have a guest on our show, and you can see he took charge. I'm introducing to you today uh, Moise A4. I believe he's going to help me to pronounce that name better. Moise, please, in case I mispronounce your name.
I think you are right. It's Moise Efo.
Moise A4. Right. Moise has just told us that he is an IT professional and a citizen of the United States. We have the pleasure of welcoming you to our studio this today, and we're going to be engaging you in order to learn, to grow, and to live better in this our dynamic and very complex world. Where do I start from today, guys?
It's up to you.
It's up to me. That is so true. So, Moise, you want to share
Yeah.
your a bit of your background with us? If you're comfortable talking about maybe how you navigated from your country of birth to America and where you are today, sir.
Okay. I was born in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. So I did everything from elementary school to the university in Cote d'Ivoire. I even worked for 8 years for oil company, right? And after some time, I noticed that the thing was not moving because of the structure of the company, right? I wanted to grow, but I was somehow blocked by my boss because there is no other level for him to move up in the system. So I was like, okay, man, um, I've been doing that for years now, 8 years. It's pretty long, right? I want to do something else. So I put myself together and start looking outside the country, either England, Canada, or United States, to move forward. And thanks God, everything happened that I have to come to US, you know, and that is why I'm here.
Amazing, amazing. So your let me use the word now that it has found its way into the dictionary. Your
Mhm.
story, your migration is was intentional.
Yes.
Because there is Japa now. I don't know if you have heard the term Japa. It's actually a Nigerian Yoruba word,
Mhm.
and it means to actually. It now means officially to migrate to, some other parts
It's
of
broken. I cannot hear. Yeah.
of the world. Yes, and also it is conceived to mean that okay, if Africa is tough, people just take off and go look for greener pastures. But people like you, it was intentional as at the time that you
Mhm.
made that move. Let us dwell in that area a little bit because you said that you were a professional working in an oil company in Abidjan, and you had this thought, seeing what was going on around you. I don't know if you have observed the rate at which people are emptying from Africa into the West and other parts of the world now. Is this something you have observed?
Yes, it's made coming from the lack of opportunity generally in our countries, right? When I was in Abidjan, right, I can say for the company that I was working, we were around those top pay employer in the country. I was making some good cash. I even have my own car and all those things, right? But since those opportunities are missing, you cannot even move. You cannot even move from one company to another. So as soon as you get one, you get stop there. You wait for your retirement and so
Ooh.
on, right? And then Africa is growing. It's a young continent. You have a lot of people getting degree. The rate at which we getting degree back home is not the same rate at which jobs are getting created, right? In the 80s, before 90s, for example, when you were in the university in Abidjan, you already have a job. Being a
Hmm.
student, you already have a job, right? But the development of the country didn't follow that line, right? we start getting a lot of engineer, a lot of people having a diploma, but they cannot get on the work market. So that push a lot of them, to try to look to look for something else. And I said, for me, it was different. For some other people, it's little bit, it's also different because having your degree, not be able to have a job, what can you do? There is no
Hmm.
opportunity.
Hmm.
You end up living,
Hmm.
taking some very bad risk, trying to find better outside the country.
That's so correct. You see, what you said actually happened with us also in Nigeria. When we're growing up, all these companies will go to universities to recruit, they will go to colleges before people are out of school. A job was waiting for them. You are truly right. But the rate of the jobs did not grow according to the rate of the population and
Yes.
the number of graduates that were being churned out from those institutions. That leads me to the next question.
Hmm.
To migrate, like when you did, was intentional, it was calculated, it was strategic. But a
Hmm.
lot of people, if I can use the word right now, they're desperate to immigrate to
Hmm.
foreign countries. Desperation. Well, I'm not talking down my home country. I'm equally an American, but coming from Nigeria, I can safely say that a lot of people that are migrating at this time, it's due to some pressures back home. And
Yes.
don't know if it is fair to use the word desperate. Do you see that happening in your own part of Africa? You come from a French
Yeah,
speaking area of,
it's
of
the same. Is Yes, it's exactly the same feeling. Okay, um, spending close to, let's say, 15 years, between 14 years and 15 years studying, right? You
Mhm.
finish, parent has spent money on you to get to that level,
Right.
and you sit there. Soon your dad will get retired. Soon your mom will not be able to provide. You
Mm.
cannot still stay with them. You notice that in Africa, in some houses, even those kids have 30 years old, 35 years old, sometimes 40, they're still living with the parent. You don't see that in the US. At 18, it's over. Find yourself something because people have this opportunity to get job easily.
That's
And we don't have that there. Right. Being at 35, 30, 35 at home with your parent, come on, you're a human being. At some point, you are like, damn, what am I doing here? Let me try something else. So that push people to be in that state of desperation and then try to do something, right? And when when one kid succeeds, it's supposed to help the others. And if you end up being the head of the family, the first on the family, you have that pressure on your shoulder. So you have to do something. That is what push people, taking those risks.
wow. You hit the nail on the head because you were able to drive the conversation with a background to explain the desperation. Why the desperation? Because my concern here is people are desperate. You are crossing borders, you are crossing oceans, but people do so without papers. Sometimes they might have a visa to enter the country, but not in the category of being able to stay back and
Mhm.
work. And you've been around in the US for quite a while. Where does that put such people when they do not have the right status in the system? When they get here to the US, they escaped Africa. Yes, they are here. They found, I mean, and you know how it is. People back home is like the moment you cross over to the other side, it's as if people are picking body on the street. But this guy gets here or this lady gets here, but it's just a visitor. He doesn't have the class of visa to work. What's your observation on that, and where does that put them in the system here?
It's very difficult. Even people coming with a paper, right? I came here with a paper, right? But I came
Wow,
in 2009, right? And 2009, we are coming from the recessions, and it was difficult to get a job. And
wow.
on top of it, I wasn't speaking English fluently, right?
Hmm.
So for me, being here, having a paper, I have to support myself 6 months without getting a job. 6 months paying rent, paying this for 6 months before I even get something, right? So if at the time I noticed that it was difficult, What's gonna happen to someone who didn't have a paper at all?
Hmm.
Right? You end up being working under pressure. You end up being working in the market. You end up asking for someone's social security to work with that, right? But when you do with that, you know, hey, you don't control anything. You
You,
depend on them,
you don't control
right?
anything.
You don't control anything. You just work as you can, you can end up, especially if you end up in the big town, like, sometimes we are in Africa and we're like, oh, I want to go to Chicago, I want to go to New York, I want to go to LA. Those are the big towns, right? And those big towns, the money that you're making, even having a paper, is not enough to support yourself. And then if you find yourself working on the black market, you're gonna have to do 3 or 4 jobs, and you will not be able to cover anything. So you're gonna be under pressure all the time till your situation change.
Wow. Wow. Now we are been able to situate that the system leads people to be desperate. But there is this perception also that Africa as a continent is lazy. I hear people using that word, not the people, but as a collective. Because when we compare our development in Africa to the Asian contemporaries that we started off with, like, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and some of those, countries, some of them that have been able to find their way. I think Hong Kong found its way to the first world, from third world to first world. You know, the ineptitude and misgovernance of our leaders, people believe, actually is what pushed this new generation, this younger generation, into desperation because of some mismanagement or some things that went under. And our continent is not just isn't attractive, for the workspace or some like job abundance of jobs and the strength of our economy. What's your own thought? There's a school of thought that says Africans are lazy compared to Asia because those people were able to move ahead despite the fact that they have, similar history with us of colonialism. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, on that, I think you have some good point on it, right? Especially the corruption of our politics, right? Um, the system is too corrupt, and even with that, even with the money that they're making, they don't have the vision for
No
the Africa.
vision.
There's no vision. They don't feel like they need to develop. They don't feel like they have to prove something. See what's going on right now. Everybody will try to be the first, right? You take some countries, they don't have raw material at all,
Hmm.
but they have the brain and they're doing good. So we put ourselves like, okay, we have agriculture, especially for my country, with the cocoa and coffee. We just produce. Okay, this is little bit. This part is can be a little bit tricky because those culture we got it from the colonization, right?
Right.
And at the time they were using those side of our country like a big plantation, right? They need coffees, they need cocoa. There is a place in Africa where it can be produced. So, we're sending those things to them. We we got our independence. Our first presidents, I don't really know what was going on, what are the pressure that they were facing, but they couldn't really, develop, right? And the love of power as well as African, you and me, you know that African like power, they like to be the boss. So
Power is sweet.
all yeah, all this together, all this together make people feel like Africans are lazy. I mean, yes, we are some of people, and this laziness is not just from African; it's everywhere. But if you are in a situation where people feel like the majority are lazy, it's just because those few people who can, who try to change stuff, right, who working hard are not noticed, right? So we end up consider that everybody's lazy. No, you have some good worker. You have people who work hard to make this change. But if you are not on the right side, when I say on the right side, the politics side, who is running the country, no matter what you do, they will bring you down.
Wow, that's interesting because I use the word lazy not for the physical energy of the teeming population of Africa, but thinking about being intellectually lazy, not our academia or our, brilliant, population, but leadership class, the leadership class, right? Because when you look at the generations of the Kwame Nkrumahs of this world and those other generations, I don't know if to mention Nazimbe, Yadema, some of them really started well, some of them were visionary, although some things still happened along the line. Like Nigeria, for example, where you mentioned, the first generation, like the Wolowos and Abubakar Tafawa Balewas of our country. But then a lot of them had plans. They had plans to really. I come from the western part of Nigeria, and we had a premier who is just like a regional leader. Out. Nigeria was three regions that time. Is it three? North, three, northern, western, are four, and the midwestern region, north, west, midwest, and eastern region. Do you know that there's a particular leader then that put our region even ahead of France in a lot of ramifications? They had TV before France, they had certain other civilization before the countries that have even been first world countries in Europe, and that's how visionary those people are. So, but the generation of leaders that came after is where, because when I use that word, I don't like talking down Africa. I picked that word from my conversation recently with someone, and that is that. Do you notice that intellectual ineptitude from the part of the ruling class? Because we have the best brains everywhere. We're killing it all over the world in IT. Look at, for example, in America, Nigeria, for example, is said to have the highest number of degrees. You understand? PhDs.
Yes.
So we have the brains, and we are even making things happen everywhere. You are here from Cote d'Ivoire originally, though now an American. You're killing it. I am approaching you. I asked you to this interview because you are an IT professional with good standing in big data, and you are adding value to corporations in America. So I don't think it's about our mental ability to learn and to make things happen. So do you see, when we compare the kind of leadership we have had with those of, let's say, Asian tigers, for example, that have been able to move beyond their colonial past? I don't know, for want of a better word, do you see that gap? Let me not use the word lazy. Any word that will just kind of brand Africa, I avoid it in a negative way. So what's your observation? What do you see concerning ours and theirs? Because they say everything rises and falls on leadership, right? Right. So
Yeah. I think one of the issue we had and we keep having is our leaders, because earlier I mentioned that they don't have a good vision, right?
that's true.
When I take, for example, for Cote d'Ivoire, we started with the president like Félix Houphouët-Boigny. These guys build everything, right, in the country. So after, and that's one of the things, after he passed away, we end up in the kind of conflict, because the country was not really prepared for this transfer of power, right? The leader is gone, and it was a little bit of chaos, a chaos, right? Finally, we got another one there, and these guys came, and he was like, okay, he has a vision, but at the same time, he was having some issue with the French, because no matter what, yeah, especially French is still tied to those countries. They always have their hand in everything. So even if you have vision, right, and that vision that align with what they want, they will do their best to create a lot of trouble, right? And my country went through more than 10 years of instability, right? And even at the time, that we end up in the war in almost in 2010, right? Because of those kind of things. Because the French didn't really like the guy who was in the power, because the guy who was in the power was able at the time to say them, hey, no, I'm not giving this contract because it's too expensive with you. I'm going with the guy because it's cheap, those kind of things. And he didn't really get the support of his own people, because the opposition in Africa It's not oppositions to bring good stuff. They just want to be in the power. Their feeling is like, it's my turn, I want to eat too. It's not like, okay, you did that, there is a problem, let me use that approach, right? And then move ahead. No, it's all about my turn, my turn. And the way the political party are structured in Africa is wrong. It's always backed by a region, ethnic group, and so on. So when the guy's in the power, he'll start thinking about his family, thinking about his relative, thinking about his religion and his ethnic. How this guy can take care of all those people? He can't. He's end up digging, putting his money put it his hand in the money country and just distributed the money, and we end up in corruption, right? So when people mention that we are lazy, sometimes it's about we don't have a clear vision. I'm here. Where am I going? I'm running this country. What is the future of this country? I'm starting from now. In 5 years, am I planning to build more houses? Am I planning to get more company open up in my country? Those kind of things. Maybe they think about it, but they never implemented it. In the opposition, they'll be fighting, fighting, fighting. As soon as they get in the power, they are worse than who was there before.
Wow.
So we coming back again. What did we do? Did we went backward? Did we went forward or backward? And we are the same thing non-stop.
Wow. That's loaded. Let me dwell in the CFA region. I don't know. I don't know if I put it right. Let me the Francophone region for a little while, because recently we see some activities of military. I know you're in America. I don't know how much you follow. It didn't happen in your country, so I'll forgive you if you're not aware. But in Niger, President Abdul Rahman Tichani took over in 2023. And also in Burkina Faso, for example, we have Captain Ibrahim Traore, right? And right now, these guys, very young guys, they are actually grandstanding. Senegal has Bassirou Diomaye Faye, I don't know how to pronounce that. And if you see the way they are standing, their posture against French, what you are saying about the foreign influence not letting them, well, this is not a political conversation, but we cannot diagnose our continent's issue and where we find ourselves without, the same way you have it with, in Francophone countries, we have it in Anglophone, we have it in British countries, the influence is still there. I had a guest on this program recently who was born in the UK and he's been living like 30 years now over there. And he says it's like giving someone something and still holding the strings, until recently some of these countries are still spending the CFA franc. Some of them still domicile a lot of their money. Is as if their central bank is remotely controlled from France. So even though look at Paul Biya, for example. He's been in Cameroon. Am I right? He's still there like 50 years right now, Paul Biya.
Yeah, more than 40 years. More than 40
years. You know what happened? When I mentioned Nasimbe, it might not be the happiest name in your ears because you know how long it took in Togo, for example.
Yeah, and I think he's still on the power. He's still on the power because his son, Foya Singbe, is on the power. And this guy even put his own half-brother in jail just for power. Come on, give me a break.
So when we look at these African leaders, as a matter of fact, the grapevine has it that these foreign powers, they breathe on their neck and they don't let them even achieve anything. And sometimes they get eliminated in case they are not cooperating. So are we not in a catch-66 situation? What's your observation of these issues? It's not just about the leaders wanting to do something or not.
Yeah, I mean, definitely those things are there, right? But if we show unity, right, we can do something. I remember when these guys, Gbagbo Laurent was in the power in 2010 and he was going through trouble. Yeah, and he was going through trouble. All the African countries just left him in deal with the French. If it's so easy to divide us. Right? They will always run the game. This is what's going on, right? Um, for someone to come in the power, you need to be backed by friends, right? And if you are not, it'll be difficult. So if you are not, and you are lucky, and you get through it, man, they're gonna create you a lot of rebellion, a lot of trouble here and there, just because they don't want you to succeed, right? They want still be I mean, they run out the game. They want to still control everything. What's happened in I think in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, it was a coup, right? In general, military coup, because even those presidents who were elected by vote, by election, right? Who won by elections, they were not doing what they said. Earlier, I mentioned that those guys there in the opposition, as soon as they get in the power, they change,
They change.
right? Yeah. So sometimes when you look at it, you think that Africans are not really ready for democracy yet. You need some strong guys who are gonna be there and then run the country for more, with a good vision, run the country for 10, 15 years. Just a time for them to build something, because every 5 years we end up in the crisis and we have to start over. Is that good? I mean, sometimes I feel like we have to choose our own political system. And
Mm.
as soon as we do so, right, other countries, France, or Western countries, and they have to respect that, right? Maybe we are not ready for democracy yet, because every time there is election, you have dead people here, dead people there. That is not happening in the countries, and this thing is coming from abroad. So, okay, here we have Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, who is trying something else, right? Let's see how it goes. I think if they have a good vision, right, if they stay to what they promised to the population, if they stick to developing their country, make them more independent, I think it's good. We don't care really if it's a military or a civil, right? You want the country to move forward.
Right.
That's what we have to look. We see China. China has the political system. Who can go there and tell them something about it? Nobody.
Mm.
Because at this point, economically, they are very powerful. So no matter what, you cannot go there and impose uh, who you want. No, we have to focus on building Africa. Once we are strong, we can impose our view to other people. But that requires unity.
Mm.
Even though we are from several political sides in the country, when it's about the country, we have to be one. Don't let anybody come support one side and push you to fight. It doesn't make sense, because when there is a war, they're selling arms, they're selling drugs, they're selling all kind of bad shit, right? So unity is what we need. We are from the same country. That even though we're coming from several political party, we shouldn't fight. We shouldn't kill just to get to the power.
Moise, you took me to school today. You are so politically aware and, you know, contemporary, historical, and totally accurate, because you are situating Africans' problems without condemning, but with proper diagnosis. I'm not surprised anyway, because you are a developer, so you have, logical, critical thinking. But it shows that you are aware of.
Yeah, we know what's happening there. I mean, I was there, I saw everything. I went through those things. When we start having trouble, we saw what's was going on, right? I think we saw the connections in my country. We saw who was backing by who, and so on and so on. We got a rebellion because the guy in the power, the French didn't like him, so they put one side for a rebellion, right? And the country was divided for how many years?
Wow.
So now that they have the power, they cannot even agree among themselves. there is another division again. It's wasting time. People are moving ahead. When you sit in Africa and you look at Asia, come on, we are so behind. In 17, a country like Cote d'Ivoire, in 70s, yes, a country like Cote d'Ivoire and South Korea were at the same level. Now we're getting loan from South Korea.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Wow. That's wow. Thank you so much. In fact, you wow me. You wow me because the diagnosis of the situation is very, very apt. Because when you're talking, you see sometimes people detest. A lot of people have said it that maybe democracy is not the way the Western democracy does not fit us as the people. And there's this hype. Most things that come from the West is as if that's the standard, that's the gold standard. Everybody got to follow it. A lot of people, political scientists, everyday people, intellectuals, Africans, African thought leaders of thoughts have always said in their conversations that we need a homegrown kind of, governance system. Maybe they say homegrown democracy. Look at my country, Nigeria, for example. We started from the British parliamentary system. We had a prime minister in the 60s. The military took over. By the time they were leaving power, they bequeathed to us presidential system. So we are half British, half American. You are just all over the place. We have a constitution that, a lot of people have been, fighting that this constitution cannot take us forward. It can only move us backward. A lot of undertones, a lot of considerations. Let me not go deep into that. But there's something you talked about that even the 5 years election cycle. I don't know they kill in the election in your own country. People kill in my own country too, because people say that the rate of certain things happen more during the election cycle. You say a lot of. Let me not use the word kill now. I take that back. Violence. I take it back.
Okay.
Yeah, violence. So now I am surprised to hear that also happens.
That's happened. Okay, in 2020, right? Some people were beheaded, and that was on everywhere in internet and YouTube and all those things. Just for what?
Wow. So going by the trajectory, picking from what you said earlier, you talked about, okay, if some of these people, you're not recommending, but you're saying probably if the good ones had a longer cycle time to actually be able to deliver and at least stabilize, that it could even be better without constraining ourselves to this 4-year cycle in my country, 5-year cycles in some other countries. And the funniest thing,
5 years.
Funny enough, once a leader takes power in Nigeria, whether it's at the presidential level, national, or the state level, governor, it's almost guaranteed that it's 8 years because they usually after 2 terms of.
Okay, that's good.
Right. I mean, it's not constitutionally guaranteed they have to come back for re-election, but sometimes it's very hard to wrestle power from the incumbents. I'm just saying that when you elect them for the first time, they try and hold on to that power, whether they are doing well or not. So back to what you said earlier, that maybe what they call benevolent dictator. Are you getting me? Not a dictator, or maybe look at this guy, Paul Kagame in Rwanda, right? People expect that, okay, this guy is doing a lot of great things. He should leave power. But he has been staying there right now. Are you getting me? Some people say, oh, maybe Africa needs more of that. Or he should just honor time limits and leave.
Okay, if you do a time limit and we have a peaceful transition, right, it's fine. But we did not notice that, right? Every time we have the election cycle, we end up with some violence, right? And a country is a continuity. So that's why I was talking about a vision, right? A vision cannot be built on 5 years. I'm sorry. It's not enough.
Wow.
It's not enough. A vision something can be a vision something that you have to develop on 25 years, maybe 30 years, right? Because If you want to change the school system, you want to change the education, you cannot do it in 5 years.
Hmm.
You will not be able to see your result before you leave office,
Hmm.
right? To notice that what I'm doing is good, you will not see that.
Unfortunately, some of these leaders, they are performing poorly, and the country doesn't want to risk keeping them in power for so long. And if they have a longer time limit, you see, that's also counterproductive. Or do you think it's only if
Yeah,
we are lucky they are doing fine, you want them to stay longer?
but in that case, it will be difficult because you will say, okay, this guy is doing good, so we have to let him the power. The question will be, okay, he's doing good, but what about the next one? Maybe he will do better.
Well, that's optimism. That's the optimistic theory. We can also use the pessimistic theory that what if this guy is not taking us anywhere? If you keep him for so long, he's going to break things. He's going to damage
So
things.
that's why you have to put some rule in your constitution where you can break the term of someone, a guy like this, right? At some point, who put in your power is the population. If they don't want you, they should be able to say, "Hey, this guy is giving us
Let,
is giving us
let
crap.
me
We
tell
don't want
you.
him to."
Let me tell
Yeah.
you this. Except a president or an elected official commits an impeachable offense, they stay there. Who determines good governance, especially when people are trying to correct them, say, oh, that's opposition. They are just wailers. They are crying. Let them shout. So it's only the election cycle that is constitutionally provided to remove them. Look, for example, if you have a bad government, it's not a bad president only. Like in Nigeria, we have a presidential system, we have the legislature, we have the judiciary, we have the executive. They are considered to be three arms of the same government. And if the president is not doing well, probably the parliament, they are not checking him. The same party, most times winner takes all. Unlike the parliamentary system where you have some of these powers divided. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
the kind of cabinet system, where they can make things happen within, the house right there, just like they have in the British system. A change of government can happen, easily more than the presidential system. So, like I said, it's like we are between the rock and the hard place. Who has a good government?
You're right. I mean, we are all human beings. At some point, we have to check what's happened in the past and make some change in the system, right? I will give you an example. For example, in my country, we have, I mean, in Cote d'Ivoire, when I say, yeah, in Cote d'Ivoire, we have around more than 100 political parties.
How many political parties
More than 100 political parties.
officially
So,
recognized?
yeah.
Nigeria, we have
So,
30 something or so.
I think it's too many, right? So, most of the time when a group come to the power, he have to sign alliances with other party to be in the power. As soon as in the power, he feel like he have to pay back that trust that they put in him. How do you pay back those? How do you pay back those things? Give them some position in the government,
Political appointment.
even though, yeah, in your government, right? Given us position in the government, even though you are not sure that they'll be able to do the job. You come with a vision because of the fact that to get to that power, you have to sign those little deal here and there. At the end of the game, you cannot apply, you cannot push your vision forward because you'll end up having some snake and crab in your government who gonna create you trouble. So again, what you said is right, but we are human beings. We have to check what's happening in the history, what's going on around us, and then choose the best political system. Try to choose the best political system. And as human being, you cannot trust anybody at 100%. He can be doing good things today, tomorrow something can happen in his life, he will switch. And the guy that you were talking to today, you will not recognize in anymore because he's having some other string, some other things going on in his life. And it's the same thing happening with all those guys when they go to the power, because the reality to the power is all those hidden string that as opposed you don't see. Because
Wow.
when you sit there, ah, by the way, hey, I have a debt of how many $1 million that I have to pay back
Wow.
from, it's it's tough.
Thank you. When I was inviting you to this interview, I did not tell you we're going to discuss Africa, politics, Renaissance, but I apologize if I just threw you, you know, I just threw this out there, but everything you're saying is relatable because politics, Nigeria is the biggest industry. Everything you're saying is true. I'm sorry, I take it back. Nigeria doesn't have 30 political parties. In the Third Republic, I think, Fourth Republic, they deregistered some. I think we have like 20 something. I'm not too sure the exact, but it's not up to 30, so that I don't misinform Nigerians. But when you said 100, we have this, and some of these parties, they are just special purpose vehicles. We have just two main political parties. And
Yeah.
recently, with the last election cycle, another one came up, which is the Labour Party, making three. Okay. And like you said, you use the word alliances. We use the word coalition. These political parties, towards the election, they team up. And exactly what you are saying, I'm happy that you allowed me to spend this much time talking about our
No,
countries,
it's
Africa.
mhm.
Exactly. The same template. We have these major parties, and then you see these coalitions happening towards the election period. Some people are jumping ship, and then by the time the election is won, it's about settlement, it's about payback period, it's about job for the
Yep.
boys, it's about
Mhm.
power brokerage. Even the alliances is who gets what, when, and how.
Yep.
Who gets what, and just in order to satisfy all those political interests, and then to consolidate and entrench themselves in power, and even guarantee the tenure of the next election, they begin to put opposition in place. That's why you will see people decamping, because by the time they join the government, they get assimilated. It's almost the same playbook in Nigeria. So
Yep.
thank you you wanted
Yeah.
to add
You
something
forgot
there.
you. No. I think at the time you get the power, you forgot all the things that you plan to work on, right? You'll be dealing with those kind of little things here and there, and the day after it's your 4th years, you have to go out.
Oh boy, Moise, let me navigate a little away. I could
Okay.
do this forever because it's fun talking about. It's not fun, really. It's not fun, but I like this kind of engagement because this conversation is uncharted. I don't have like, okay, this is the what we
Okay.
need to discuss, and naturally, organically, this conversation happened, and I am telling you what is happening in your country, in your home country. You have dual citizenship. You are Ivorian American. I am Nigerian American. What is happening in our home countries are very similar, very similar. And if you talk to many other African countries, I think they had an election recently in Ghana. If you ask them, it's going to be the same story. If you ask them in
Yep.
Kenya, gonna be similar stories. So thank you for letting us explore our Africanness. Let's get to some other part of our conversation. Where do I start
Okay.
from here? You have been here. How well have you integrated here? And also, you see people come from Africa. America is said to be a rainbow country. I know they use that for South Africa, but it's a potpourri. It's a melting pot. That's what they call
Yeah.
America, of all cultures.
Yeah.
So how has it been here integrating? And also, I can marry that with a question because you see a lot of Africans, intermarrying with people that look like us and also people of other races. What have been your observation and experience in that, that kind of diversity and integration? Yeah. What has been your experience? What have been your observation? Maybe your personal experience? How has it been? Are people really integrating? What are their perceptions? being someone that's been here since 2009, right? That's a long time. That's like 16 years, right?
Yeah. I came here in 2009. I didn't have really a lot of issue of integration in this country, right? Um, I mean, some people will try to hide some of their identity when they become citizen because you have that option of changing name, right? When you become citizen, right?
Right.
And some people will end up changing the name to have more heat for job search, for example,
Oh,
right?
that happens.
Uh, yeah, I mean, if my name was Steven something, right, and I'm looking for a job, that's
Maybe
gonna be,
maybe I don't know because my last name is Johnson, and people believe that Johnson is the most common name in last name in America.
but so you have that opportunity, to change name if you want. But I didn't go through those things. My things was okay. I'm here because of the will of God, so I'm keeping going, right?
Right.
So he is the only one who will decide, right? So I came here. I got married here. My wife, she's from here, right? I love
Wow.
her. We have beautiful kids, and I don't have any problem with that because when I was leaving Africa, I left Africa with an open mind. Okay, you live in your country and you go to another country. It's just because you are ready to adapt to that country,
Hmm.
right? You are ready to make yourself a blend in that country, right? If you don't really like the culture, you don't like the stuff, why are you leaving?
Well,
Stay
you
where you
there.
are. Yeah. So when you decide to go, you have to be ready for those kind of adaptation, right? And that is one of the that was my mindset when I left. And um, here as African, I think our integrations is better compared to France, for example, where I heard that African has some difficulty to get some job, be in some higher positions. But in here, it's not the case. The last time I think the CEO of what these things, Red Lobster, I think his origin is from Nigeria.
Nigeria, that guy, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw one of his speak. This guy he's good. He
Hmm.
know exactly what he wants. He's smart. He's no, So just to tell you that the integration of the African here is easier compared to France, for example. That I heard some
Wow.
examples. So when I was living, was that in my mind? I'm going abroad, right? I should be able to adapt to the reality there and to trying to blend in the society.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that because I can see that this is a mindset issue. Before you came in, you had an open mind and you're going to a society. Why go there if you don't like what they're doing there? If you don't like the people and the culture? So I have a rider to that question. Um, Let me tell you the fear of a lot of, should I say African parents? But I can talk of
Yeah.
Nigeria. Let me talk about Nigeria. I don't know
It's
how,
Africa bigger. Yeah,
yeah,
because yeah, go ahead.
yeah, let me say Nigeria, but I don't know if other Africans feel like that. Do you know that a lot of parents, okay, I'm a father to two young children in their 20s already, okay, and I won't say me, but a lot of parents, they are kind of apathetic. They are worried. They are very anxious that their children might get married. Not every parent. Their children might get married to people like Caucasians, like, let me use the word white people. I don't want to be racial here, but
Mhm.
that's the worry. Sometimes they would feel like, okay, once that child is married to someone that is of another race, that child is lost. You understand? I'm just telling you, I don't know about other parts of Africa. It may not be every parent,
Okay.
but I know that a lot of Nigerian parents feel that way. So I'm not being absolute here. But relatively speaking, a lot of them feel that way, that it's like that child is lost to that, you know. by getting married because they may never come back home to integrate or go back home. And even from dating, the parent starts looking, well, is he bringing home? Who is he dating or something like that? You are married to, I don't know to say Caucasian or a white person. What's the experience been? And what will you say to parents who are just so pent up, who are just so kind of over anxious about their children or family getting married to people from other races? And what has been
It's
your
just because those parents grow up in Africa, so they're coming here with a baggage, with a background already, right? If they were born here, they will not have that reaction.
excuse me, if they were born here, they won't have that kind of reaction. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So when you come from a different society, you were, I mean, I grew up in Africa, right? So you all, you are very difficult. I mean, no, not very difficult. It's easy. No, not that one. It's not easy for you to really adapt to the new society if you don't have an open mind, right? The parents have to sit and say, like I mentioned earlier, you came here. Why did you came here, right? So the same thing for which you came here, hey, your kids will have that, right? Because you want to give your kid to have more opportunities, getting a job, but at the same
Does that
time,
opportunity include marrying white women?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if we found that. Don't push me there. You came here.
They want them to have other opportunities, but leave that one alone.
You want to get the money from here, the juice and the butter from here. But at the same time, you don't, you
They
don't
want
want to
to
leave anything.
eat their cake and
You
have it.
don't want to leave anything.
Don't marry Oyibo.
So the problem I think is at the parent level. I think they're gonna have to get it. To try to adapt themselves, or having the open mind. It's more, everything is culture related. Don't see it as a color of skin. Myself, I see everything culture related. If we take, it's for example, kids are growing up here, no matter the color of the skin, because of the color, because of the culture, they react in the same way. It's the way it is. So for me, the culture is more important than the color of the skin, for example.
Absolutely. See, you just took me to a very important aspect, which is the culture shock. Because the fear is that of assimilation, being absorbed into Western culture, and then the more the Africans get absorbed, the more the identity crisis happens in the long run. Because especially for those who migrated, you have situated it that those who are born here, they grow up here, everything is here, they understand, their mindset is here. But not everybody was born here, and even if they are born
Yeah,
here, they
yeah,
were
yeah.
not born here by parents who were born here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, because okay, I will take an example, right? I know a family from Ivory Coast. They move here with the kids, and one day I got a call from the mom, and she was like, "Oh, by the way, I want you to talk to my kid because he has this girl, and that girl, she doesn't care. She gets in the bed in this bedroom from the window and all those things."
From the window.
So yeah, because the girl know that the parent will not open the door. So so the boy put a ladder outside, and then she get inside. She
Oh
get
my God.
inside, right?
These
So they
children.
call me and they're like, okay, I want you to talk to my kid, and so on. So I know what was the problem, but at the same time, I cannot tell them directly, hey, guys, try to understand the logic happening here, because at the same time you're going through a crisis, the kid as well is going through a crisis too, because he's between those two reality, and what he's facing is his friend at the school. He spend more time with his friend at the school than you parents, because the parent will wake up in the morning and go go for walk, and they're gonna spend almost the entire day there, right? Meanwhile, the kid will hang out with the kids who were born here having the American culture. He will, to not look like an outsider, he will try to blend. So he will start reacting like them. It's you to understand that the kid is going through his own struggle. He cannot be here and maintain the reality on Africa. How do you ask that to him?
He can't be here and maintain the reality of Africa. Ooh, that's very, very conk.
I mean, what do you ask him? I mean, why you ask him that? So try to make the things easy, try to get the girl, try to know the girl. Instead of letting them go through the window, open the door.
That window thing gets me each time you mention it. Honestly, it's the first time in my entire life I'm hearing that somebody goes through the window.
Because definitely the girls here, when they want you, they will get you.
The girls here, when they want you,
They will
they
get
get
you.
you. I hope African parents are listening. So that, like you said, they got to change their mindset and they got to bring themselves to understand what the issues are and how it works here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me recover from the laughter of this girl passing through the window. You see, because what you are saying is germane. Let's dwell a little here because this culture shock, for people like us, is identity crisis and culture shock, two of them.
Yeah.
Because I'm in my middle age, I'm in my early 50s. I got here when I was already,
Adult. Yeah.
adult. And even though you have told us to at least be open-minded, I don't know how open my mind can be.
Yeah, it's tough.
It has already been programmed, which is okay. I am original. That's my originality, right? And location doesn't really change some things, especially when it is ingrained in you. So I've had to battle the culture shock. I don't have an identity crisis. I know who I am. But our children, they didn't fall from heaven. We gave birth to them. They're gonna give birth to other people too. Look at the complexity of being lost in quotes now. It's a reality, to be candid. Because now it's like some generations, okay, if it's looking like once you migrate, anything can happen. You could now have the next generation of you and generations after them overseas, abroad, in diaspora, self-exiled, and you are cut off from your background, from your origin. That looks like, to me, it doesn't. It's like a risk, and I don't think it's a palatable story altogether. How do you find the balance?
Okay, let's say we have kids here, right? Okay, you have to. I think it can be expensive, but you have to get the chance to the kid to go back with you in a vacation, for example.
Thank you.
Maybe every 2 or 3 years, go there, show them the reality, show them where you're coming from, and then they will notice that, this is where daddy was born, and this is where he is. So they will appreciate what they have already, and maybe that can push them to fight harder to get a better position in the society, right? They will not end up doing drugs like most of the kids that we're seeing here. You have to show to the kids, let's go to Africa, let's go see the parents, let's go see how people live. Some you're gonna have to, this is why I left, and so on. Maybe those kind of reality can make the kid more understanding instead of just getting upset, yell at him, and trying, I mean, again, those back and forth traveling can be expensive. So sometimes when you don't have the means, you all end up stocking here. It's only the parents going back home and he's not bringing the kids.
There's a
You know,
disconnect. That's my worry.
yeah,
That's my
yeah.
concern. There's a disconnect, and that lost. Before we had lost sheep of Israel. Now we don't know which sheep is gonna lost next. That disconnect, because ultimately some people have to build Africa. I brought a guest here, and he said, "Look, Jimmy, this is not going to happen in this generation. Our own, maybe not in our own children's generation." It broke my heart, but maybe he's saying the truth. But he said, "But we have to go back and start the process because these things
Okay.
didn't get messed up." All right, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. I saw something a few days ago on the web. Okay, about this movement of going back to Africa, and the guy was like, they want us to go back, but at the same time they ask for visa.
Visa. Oh, okay. From people who earlier migrated. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, if you end up having your kid here, they end up being U.S. citizen.
That
When you're
is so
going back,
true.
visa. We should
Ah,
find a mechanism to say, okay, let's open the door to those people. Don't let's make it easier
maybe
for them to
African
come back and do and so on.
parentage. I get your point. Maybe like you and I, our kids should not even need a visa to get back to our country.
Yeah,
Maybe I
because of
see.
the connection we have there. So those kind of things. But the society and the world is divided in the way that we all follow a sort of rule. Okay, if they ask me for visa, I should ask them visa too. But if you see a A4 coming to Cote d'Ivoire, by the way, A4 is high volume. I mean, and why
Absolutely.
he doesn't need to provide a
But
visa?
what if
I
they
mean,
change their name?
that's,
What if they change to like Stevens, like you said, and it's not Stephen Efo? All right. All right.
all right.
Before we leave
But
there, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
okay, no. But again, it will be. Your friend mentioned your friend mentioned that, and I think is right. One generation, two generation here, I don't think that those people will go back to Africa and do stuff, right? Because what they know, even though they have our skin color, but what they know is the society in which they live, is where they have friends, where they have parents. Tomorrow they go to Africa, they will be like a tourist there,
Stranger. They will be like
and a
tourists.
stranger, and people will call them, "Oh, see this American."
Okay. Before we leave this
Okay,
zone, are you comfortable sharing your own experience? Because I relate with you, and I know that you are happily married. You know how they'll say that he's a developer, he's an IT professional, happily married with children. So I think relating with you privately, I know that you are happily married. So how's that experience been? Being married across cultures. You're, let me use the word black. Your wife is white. You have mixed children. How has it been? At least maybe that will help some other people to you know make some decisions too.
I mean, any
What's your
relationship
experience?
and marriage has its own issue, right? You mentioned earlier, right? We come in from different background, and that is something that we have to be able, something that I have to able to control, right? Even though my wife right now she will do me some jollof rice, some fufu, and all those things, right?
Really?
Yeah,
She makes African food for
I'm
you?
yeah, because I love her, she loves me. So I mean, she noticed that when we go to some African party, right? I like those kind of food, so she did her best to reproduce those kind of things, right?
To learn it.
It
Wow.
so though I mean, again, a relationship has its own issue. We can all be from the same background and still we cannot stay together, right?
That's so
We can
true.
keep
That's so
fighting, and so on. So the human aspect of this have to be very important. It's not like I mentioned earlier. It's not about the color of the skin.
all of the skin.
Yeah, you know she's from here, so okay. Why you want her to do stuff from Africa or try to impose that? Right,
Mm,
that's gonna create a conflict, right?
mm.
So coming here, your mind is more open than someone here, accepting you, right? So the big part of the work have to come from you. I mean, it was coming from my side. So again, we came here for a purpose. We want to succeed, right? If you get married here, you do your best to make this work, and that is what I'm doing.
And that
Again,
the
I love her. She loves me, and I think so far it's going well. All couples have the issue, and our issue are not different to the issue between you and your wife or something. It's just the same kind of issue. It's yeah.
I like your mindset. There's something I picked from what you said, that she's from here. You don't expect her to do things that are alien, foreign to her, that she's not even aware of. And that
Mhm,
you, as the person who came over here, will have to make more of the adjustment. And
mhm.
you really behave like a lawyer, because you just put it out there that, when they will say, I fought your right, that's case closed, no more argument. Even people from the same village, the same tribe, the same language, they get married, they have irregular couple issues, sometimes they break up. So
Yeah,
what's the big deal? They have
yeah.
conflicts. That you marry among your tribe or culture or color of skin is not a guarantee for a
No,
perfect marriage.
no.
So I don't have any case again. Case closed.
Thank you.
Let's move on.
Yeah,
Um, what will you say? What are your general thoughts about living in diaspora? I was having a conversation with you, and you were just pouring out a lot of things that it looks like, you know, I don't want to preempt you. Let me just leave you open for some minutes. What are your thoughts? When we say diaspora now, it means that we people that came here, it's not like America, we came here. All right.
yeah, yeah.
Advice for
I see.
people generally.
Yeah, I see. I see. One of the things that I notice, and I think it's a little bit sad, is the fact that we carry our issue from back home here. The division we have from back home, we carry that here. The political aspect of everything is carried over here. So I mean, we end up being in the same situation,
Hmm.
right? And that is something that I don't really like, because you and me being here, the fact that we coming, both you and me from Africa, we should be closer, right? Beside all the things that happening back home, the fact that we left the country and we are abroad, we should be closer. But it's not happening. It's always the same kind of little fight here and here. This guy said that, you say this, and so on. Really, I don't have time for this. You know, I don't. I don't have for those kind of things. You say that, you say this. No. So that is sometimes what I don't really appreciate. But I still have friends here from my country, but those friends, my close friends, are all in the field that I'm working on. I'm working in. They are all IT guys in general, right? Because of we don't want to look like we are different, right? Because sometimes that is my feeling. I can be wrong. Sometimes when you go to those big things, right? People used to compare to themselves, right? Oh, he's driving this, he's wearing this, he's doing that. I mean, if I have to wear my clothes according to you, or it, it become very strange, right? The clothes that I wear, it's what I can buy, right? So that is the way I see the things. If I'm driving this car, it's just because I can afford it, right? It's not just because I want to show that I have money or those kind of things. It's what I like, I bought,
Right.
right? Because hey, we're looking for money, right? If you cannot afford what you like, what are you working for, right?
Like
So
people are
go
having
ahead.
competitive jealousy. You are who you are, doing what you should be, what you can do, what's convenient, but they are looking at you and they
Yeah,
envy you.
Yeah. And maybe that's why my circle of friends, they are all in the IT field, making the same kind of money that I'm making, you know. And I think it's less trauma.
Less trouble.
Yeah.
Right. What is your view on the impact of social media in our generation right now? Because I relate with you. I noticed that you're not a social media person, you're just an everyday guy going on your lane. Why that? And what's your general view on social media, the use of it and the impact right now?
Okay, it's my first time to be on the podcast with you, and I accept it
Oh,
because of because of our friendship, and I
thank you,
know
sir.
that you are a good guy, right?
Thank you, sir. I
So
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I know what I'm doing right now will be in the system for 100 years, right? So you can do a mistake today, and tomorrow that same mistake will follow you in the future. So
Hmm.
I'm very careful putting stuff out there in general, right? And when stuff, because Africa social media starting by Facebook and those kind of things, right? Um, People were not using that for the right purpose, right? They were using that for the same kind of jealousy stuff, and those little things here and there. So I distance myself of the social media in general, because um, I'm not a very talking person, right?
I
so
know, I know, I know.
so yeah, so that is the way I want to stay, right? It's fine social media, but the way people are using it, they don't really pay attention, because we nowadays people can use what you do in social media to build your profile,
Mm,
to do what kind of person you are. So what you put in there, you have to be very careful, because that can fire back.
wow.
That's my thought about it.
Thank you very much. I know you are a man of few words, and I appreciate the fact that you are not, you know, the outward person like that, and that you accepted to come to this interview. I really appreciate it. My team and I we really appreciate you so much because
No problem.
you don't like your face out there, and
No.
I know this. There's no way you could show me, you could tell me how much you love me other than by the way, by action you demonstrated it. You are not the kind of person that want to put your face on the social media at all. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm sure our viewers, when they are watching this, they will help me to appreciate you in the comments. That thank you, because the things that the conversation we are having, a lot of them are things that we can learn from, and we can build a better society. Let me tell you, you might not know it. You have said some things that will help some people who are trying to start relationships, who are already in relationships, who are raising children. Even though those are not topics, we didn't say how do you raise children, how do you relate, what's relationship, what's marriage. But from the general questions, the things you are saying are relatable, and it's going to help a lot of people who are struggling, with adaptation, with integration, with mind shifts, with acculturation, overcoming culture shock, finding their identity. So, boys, thanks for coming to this program. You are helping us.
No problem.
We
No
we we
problem.
we, have still some little time to end.
Mhm.
Let me ask you. Okay, let me take this to the aspect of parenting.
Mhm.
You are a parent to, I don't know the number of your children. You are parents.
Mhm.
What would you like to say about experience parenting? You know how you were parented. You know how you were growing up.
Yeah.
And also, you are a parent here right now. What's your experience? And please help me to use this to also talk to African parents out there whose children, two levels. You have told us earlier that children that are here will take the values of this place. There's no two way to it. Parents should just be ready for that. But there are some children that were brought from over there. So the ones that are here, we accept they originate from here. They are going to take the value of the environment. But what about the ones that were brought over here? Parents are struggling. Some people are sending their kids back to Africa. Some people are having challenges, trying to keep them out of
Yeah.
trouble. You understand? What's your own experience growing up? What's your experience now? And what's your advice? 3 things.
Okay. The way we got raised back home, it's let's say for example, when I would go into school, my teacher can beat me, right? And I go home, my dad will beat me again.
Beat you double.
Go again to put on top, right? That's the way. That is the way we got raised. That is what make me what I am, right?
Shaped you.
Yeah. But here, you cannot even yell at your kid because if they never saw it, you are in trouble. So, parents, I think the advice I can give
So wait,
is
hold on. So you don't have any stick behind the door or broom. You don't have?
yeah. I mean,
I'm just kidding you. Please go on.
yeah. I mean that is true stuff. You because you didn't do your homework, you go to school. The teacher will they will
Thank you.
will smack your butt. All those things. So when you go home, you are in the situation where should I talk to my parent or I
Keep it
shouldn't.
to yourself.
At the beginning, you feel like, hey, yes, I'm going to talk to my dad. You're gonna fix this teacher for me once for all. As soon as you open your mouth, you get some too. So next time when it happens, you don't talk about it. You just you better get your homework done. Finish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean here I recognize here raising kids is tough, right?
Tough.
Yeah, it's tough because back home raising kids was it was not only your job, it's the society job, right?
Community, the whole village.
Community job, all the village, so your kid can be saying doing something there, hiding from you and doing something there, but the neighbor can see him and say, hey, don't do it. So those kind of things are not here. They You have some community, especially Indian community. That's why they like to live together
Yeah.
in US
Yeah.
to have the same kind of community eyes on the kids.
I've never seen it that way. Wow.
Yeah. I have a friend Indian. He told me that he said me this is why we like to be in the community. Like that, I'm at work. If my kid is doing something, the neighbor will see it and say, hey, don't do it, or this and this. So they try to maintain this community around the kid. So if you live outside of those, and we African in general here, we don't really live in the community like Indian, right? So we cannot really try to enforce or try to apply those kind of rule here, right? So the only thing that you have is to try to talk to your kids, talking it's important. Show him some example because in Africa, when we say don't do it, the kid will never ask why. Here they're gonna ask you why you said me to not do it. So you better find some good example and go through those examples with the kid. You do this, you do this is this is. Once the kid understands that logic, he record the information in his head and it's more easier because you cannot just tell them, don't do that. It's bad. Why is bad? But we got raised in such a way that absolutely if the parent says that it's bad, we assume it's bad. We don't want we are not trying to do why it's bad. That says bad, that's it. I'm good with it. I'm not doing anything else. But in here it's totally different. So talk to your kid, find some good example, and keep in mind, right? He's going through his adaptation as well. He's going through his own headache, to try to fit in this new society. So This is what I
Wow.
would say.
Thank you very much. That's very, very, very deep. You come from a francophone African country. I hope this is a question you will not mind answering. You speak English so well. Why didn't you go to France? Why come into US?
Okay. Uh, I'm I'm speaking French already.
Can you speak some
So
French to us? Oui.
okay. Um, je ne suis pas allé en France parce que je voulais aussi profiter de l'occasion pour apprendre l'anglais. Voilà pourquoi est-ce que je suis venu aux États-Unis et me frotter à d'autres cultures que celle de la France.
Oui, 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 oui. So please interpret that for us. I see your lovely, handsome son. Is
Yeah.
tough. Does he want to say hi to us? He's welcome
No,
to
it's
say hi.
fine.
No, it's all right. No, no,
He better stay there.
no. Did he leave?
Okay. Yeah, he left. He's doing
If he wants
something
to
good.
come and say hi, he's welcome. We are not rigid
Yeah.
here. It's part of fun. That's a
Yeah.
variety
So
show.
okay. So I said I choose US because as French speaking, as from a French speaking country, I wanted to have the benefit of learning the language, be able to speak English as well, be able to interact with my guy like from Nigeria here.
That's true.
Yeah, so that is what I gain. And the other thing is, we all know that this IT industry and revolutions all come from US, right? So why should I
Mm,
go to France? So I mean, in US, I have everything here. I can learn, and I have been touching several fields in the IT. Right, I told you that I started as let's say a desktop engineer. I did some telecom, right, and then I went to some bank industry, and now I'm in the insurance, right? All those move was possible because I'm in US.
wow. Merci, mon ami. Merci beaucoup.
Vous
Ah,
êtes les bienvenus.
thank you.
You are welcome. Vous
Yeah,
êtes les
I hope
bienvenus.
I didn't mix it up too much.
No, no, no. Yeah, merci beaucoup is the right way.
Thank you. Merci, mon ami. So, let's look generally into how will I ask this question? Africa, we know where we are at right now. Is there hope for Africa and what is the way forward? You are an IT professional. You see other IT professionals, like you said, even from your own country. A lot of people, we are both, like the same age range. And what is there hope for Africa? Are we going to add value in the long run to that continent without affecting our Americanness? Because we are not here for nothing, right? And we see ourselves, from other parts of Africa. We have the intellect, we have the mental capacity, we have the capabilities. We are killing it in, a lot of things in IT.
Yeah.
So, and other aspects of life generally, academia, science, STEM, whatever, even the arts. Any hope for Africa? How do we get there?
I think we have hope in general. We need a better political system. When people go back to invest, they're facing a lot of difficulties in general, right? And some people sitting there, they just want their cut, even though the idea is not from them. So building in Africa is not easy, right? Because of those kind of things, I think the politics back home. I mean, the diaspora is sending a lot of money. That's the that's so far that is the way that we're helping them more. But those money go to the family, right? It's not to even build a company or those kind of things. It's just to try to help them survive.
Survive.
Survive. So And believe me, it's a lot of money the diaspora is sending in Africa for those, right? So we still have hope. I think we have a very young population in Africa, right? And those the education should be more focused on the brain instead of trying to push them out. So the politics have to work to give a better education. So as soon as those things are in place, I think we see what's happening in other side of the world, right? Like Asia and those kind of things. Nowadays everything is done by China in the computer field. All the devices, everything is built there. The chips and all those things is coming from Asia. Those kind of technology we should try to have them as well in Africa. You know.
Amazing. I can tell you for free that Nigeria is leading in that aspect. As much as people are, I don't know other parts of Africa, as much as they are concerned about the governance and the infrastructure, there's a lot of startups in Nigeria, especially tech. They're going back and they are doing big things and they are doing them in big figures. If I do not, I mean, when we're talking the other time, I hope you can help me with do this in 1 minute before we round off. You talked
Mhm.
about China, that they have their homegrown system of government, but you see, it's part of what sets China and America apart because their system is communism, right? And
Mhm.
definitely they might have been able to advance technologically, but you see, the West and some of those countries, the issue is capitalism and communism, right? And it's a very big deal.
Mhm.
It's a big deal. Do you want to clarify that you're not saying we should do communism? You're only saying we should grow our own whatever works for us in Africa.
Yeah, I think we saw the limits of both systems, right? We are human beings. We are intellectual. We should find our own system
Okay.
and then work from there because each system has its own limit. Okay,
Right.
China was able and is able to do what he's doing because of the communist system, the communist system where everything belongs to the government.
Okay.
So they can build roads where they want, they can build railroad, they can build a big project quickly and easily because of that system. Here in the capital is for a road you're gonna have to pay every length on the path of the road, and those are expensive in general, right?
Right. But the
So
people the people may not feel as free as it were because of some things, but let me not put you on the spot on that. Can you spend 1 minute to talk to our African brothers? We have spoken English for like almost 90 minutes of this program. Can you just speak to our francophone people, maybe like 30 seconds, 1 minute, just a general advice to them in French, sir?
advice about, I mean, we cover several topics, right? Can you just um try
What
to relate to one of the topic, and I would
one of the topic just about Africanness and everything. We have to do our own thing. We have to move our continent forward. We have to stop fighting among ourselves politically and get things right because of future generation.
yeah, I think ça c'est un message pour mes frères africains. I mean, je veux dire qu'il n'est pas encore tard, on n'est pas en retard. Je ne dirais pas qu'on est en retard, mais on est sur la bonne voie. Il faut continuer à travailler. Il faut plutôt chercher à compter sur nos propres ressources, notre propre mentalité, se définir notre propre chemin pour pouvoir construire l'Afrique en général. Euh, on a des exemples devant nous, on a les États-Unis, on a les pays de l'Europe, on a l'Asie. On peut utiliser ce qu'ils ont fait de mieux pour construire l'Afrique. Merci.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Moise Efo, for coming on our program. If you ask Jimmy, thank you for the opportunity of interviewing you. And thanks, despite the fact that you are social media and camera shy, you came to do this for us, remembering your roots from Africa. Ivorian American. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What are
And I
your last
appreciate it.
words for our viewers in English? Last words?
Oh, it was a pleasure for me to be here. As I mentioned earlier, it's my first time. And if I heard some people in my comment, it's just my point of view, and I will apologize. I want to apologize, right? So it was a pleasure to share my knowledge, the few things I know about world, right? And that is life, and I love you all.
We love you too. Absolutely. Thank you very much, viewers, for staying tuned to this program today. If you ask Jimmy, it's been a 90 minutes of fun and brainstorming with my friend and brother and work colleague, Moise Efo, who is an IT professional specializing in big data. Thank you very much. Also, we can't end this program without thanking OMS Consulting, a new media company who actually has my back. I have my 9 to 5, and my job is my first love. But once we do this recording, OMS takes care of the rest of it. So if you want to do anything in the new media, social media space, please feel free to reach out to OMS. I guarantee them and I approve them. I endorse them. And I can vouch for them. I can beat my chest for them in case you just think, you're not too sure. So they are based in Africa, but the world is a global village right now, and they can work for you remotely and also virtually. Thank you, MS, and thank you, viewers, for staying tuned. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Moise.
Thank you.
Au
Bye.
revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye.